If you remove movies and TV shows, you cannot tell me you're not watching news.
Micah,
Tell me.
let me ask you.
Ruth, for somebody to ask you, you have a road.
Let me ask you. Let me ask you.
That is big time.
Listen, I'm
nowhere in this world there's no road.
Let me ask you. Like, have you seen those pictures from the 90s though?
I've seen the pictures from the 90s.
Okay.
For feeding a kid for $1.
Yeah,
those were pictures from the 90s. We are
those
in
pictures
the
are still stuck.
Those pictures
are still stuck on people's heads.
I'm not denying that. Those pictures are stuck.
Yeah.
The same way the pictures of those saving dogs, zile dog ilikuwa saving in 30 cents, are stuck in our heads, right? It's the same way. But guess what? Things have evolved over the years. Unless you're living in a cave since 1990,
Micah, let me ask you.
You cannot tell me that you don't know that Africa has roads.
You know this thing of identity, I feel for the parents in this room. I really feel. Because raising a child in this country, you're raising somebody who has 3 identities.
Yes.
And of those 3 identities, they don't know which one they are at any given point. And at some point, either life deals them so that they basically catch on as to which identity they're going to be, or they'll just, it's almost like they take a dice and they throw and they pick whichever where it lands. But parents also have to be very, very, I was not going to say strategic, but you have to be very, I was going to say pinpointed. There's a better word for it. You have to be very deliberate about how you raise the kids and what you want them to pick up, because there's only a brief window. And once that window is passed, all bets are off. Now, kumbuka, they already have a funny name. Then, they already may look a certain way. Kichwa ina kasijui inini, I don't know what. So there's already names that are coming.
They look the part, but they just don't speak the language.
There are names that are coming already. And then when they go home, they don't know how to identify.
Yeah.
And then when in the shule, they don't know how to identify. And they are caught between a rock and a hard place. And at certain points, the parent wants them to be all Kenyan. At some points, they want them to be American. At some points, they want them to be... So they're like, okay, what am I? Am I black? Am I African? Am I Kenyan? Am I... They don't know. And that's where the parents in the room, the parents who are listening, they need to be very, very categorical, strategic, direct, and pinpointed with how they raise these kids. And make sure that they give the kids an identity, help them bridge that identity gap so that the battle they are fighting is not at the home front. It may be out there, but not at the home front.
Yeah.
Because just like Rehema was telling us, she said, what did she say? Was it not 5th grade? She said junior high?
Middle school.
Was it junior high? I think
no. It was middle school. It was middle school. Right before high school. Right before high school, yeah.
So from that
impressionable age,
from that point, she was dealing with depression. So at that age, should a child be dealing with depression?
I know, yeah.
Because of identity crisis?
Issues, yeah.
And we're not talking about even sex. We're talking about identity, like what am I in terms of
who am I
in this human race? Where am I?
And then they're seeing their Spanish, their Korean counterparts speak their language.
Very well.
Yeah.
They start within
their age sets. Yeah.
Those kids start
with that. So I think that confuses them too. Like how wengine walifundishwa lugha yao na sisi hatukufunzwa. So I think that's something that some parents need to be mindful about now that we know what we know.
Correct.
Yes. And it is important also, like, because we never went to high school here.
Yeah, so we don't know.
So we don't know.
We have no clue.
We have no idea. We can talk about college. We can address college because we came to go to college here.
But our college experience is totally different.
It's totally different.
Yeah.
But you see, for them, maybe majority or most of them probably are staying on campus.
Yeah.
Not many of us can say we stayed on campus.
Yeah, and we're doing doubles.
Yeah. So that's
I
totally
stayed
different.
on campus. I was totally different.
Good for you. Good for you.
You are different.
Okay.
You're the same person who came back with mangoes.
For
So,
sure.
you know.
Alikuwa mbele kama mfuko ya shati.
Yeah.
But for those of us who like, I went to college with this guy Kinamonga. Like there's a group of guys, so we know our experience.
Where Munga went to school? Sorry,
Wait,
go
what?
ahead.
Wow.
What?
So the experience of Kole, of course, is going to be different.
Yeah.
Versus them.
Yeah.
But I think Kole is more advanced in terms of like now maturity level, mental.
Yes, it's a bit different.
It's a bit different.
Although kuna masorority bado na hizi mafraternity.
No, kuna hizo.
Yeah.
But you see, like now we're talking about that impressionable age.
Yeah.
Of 13, 14.
Yeah.
Tukiingia high school.
That's critical.
Because you think about when we went high school, when we were in high school, that's when now either you're going to whatever school you're going to, umetoka home, unapelekwa, you're going boarding, you're meeting from people. If you went to like whichever, if you're called, if you want to, you're called to Kangaro, but ulikuwa mse wa Nairobi, ama you're in Mombasa, you're moving but within the country, so it's sort of different. Now imagine, and it's different in that you're meeting Kenyans, maybe you'll meet, but ni Kenyan, ni wa Kenya tu, luga maybe ile whatever. Now you have flown, you have landed, unakutana na Wangoso, unakutana na Chicanos, unakutana na whatever.
Yep.
Alafu sasa uko na accent kiasi.
It's a different experience.
It's a different experience.
Different.
Yeah.
Forget even
I
being
actually
born here.
vividly remember when I was in college, like the first time, because I first went to Montgomery College before I went to the University of Maryland. So when I was there,
night and
day. So when I was there, there was this kuna dem nilikuwa najaribu kuongea naye, so
which accent did you use? The
so now like I was talking to her, and then she told me you have an accent.
You have an accent. Oh,
and I was like, and mi kule nimetoka, like mimi I'm the guy, so I'm like,
sit tight.
Actually, I have a similar story. When you're done, I'll tell you.
Yeah, so I'm like, what do you mean I have, because I don't know, for some reason, I thought it's not something that like had gone in my mind that we actually speak English
different
with a different accent, because we were the guys, because like when you look at the and unfortunately that's just the way it was in Kenya.
You guys,
when you look at the pecking orders of English, like sasa, some of us, we were in that upper pecking order. So like being told that you speak with an accent.
Umesikia? When ulikuwa wapi? Rescos na Moi Forces. Rescos na Moi Forces. Jipange.
No, but unfortunately that's just how the society was structured in Kenya, which is very unfortunate. Okay. So to me it was so shocking that someone is telling me. I was thinking in my mind, this is Badawi. Masai. How can you tell me I have an accent? So it hadn't, it hadn't like occurred to me.
Yeah.
But I think at that moment, like what I felt is kind of what, like people feel in Kenya sometimes when people are making fun of, oh, you speak English like this or you speak English like that. So
that was your reaction.
So that was my reaction. I was like, hey,
wait, what do you mean?
Yeah, I was like, do you know who I am? How can you tell me I have an accent?
But I think, go ahead.
My experience was, I remember this very well, was my third day in the US, my second day in class. So nilifika nikaenda tu shule. It is an English class, and the teacher was pairing us with for an English project. It was either midterm. By midterm, we need to have done this thing, and then get another one for the final midterm. So I was the only black girl, and there was another black boy in class. And I don't know, in this teacher's wisdom, decided to pair their only black kids together.
Randomly. Random selection.
Randomly. So she says, so we get paired, and this guy did not waste 2 minutes. Raised his hand up to say, she has an accent that can work with her.
Ooh. And you're in day 3 in the US.
Day 3 in the US, second day in class. I'm trying to impress everybody.
Oh my goodness.
Trying to impress everybody.
If you brought mangoes.
Oh my goodness. That I don't know. I don't even know how I'd have dealt with it.
I wonder
that,
if
right?
it was that, you know, that African American thing with the Africans.
Yes, I think that was
think
it.
that's what it
That was it. That was 100% it, right?
Yeah.
And I think he thought, and I think you've seen this in the beginning when you meet African Americans. There's right now they do see, maybe because of social media, but they do see that we are smart and stuff. But in
There
those,
used to be an assumption.
there's an assumption like something
Yeah.
you're not it kind of thing.
Bado haujatosha mboga.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
think that was the problem. And then so the teachers did not make a big deal out of it. So paired me with a white boy. And for the midterm, we got an A. And I have never seen an about turn being made by this guy. But at that point, alikuwa amenitoka kabisa. Like I did not want to see him, right? And I think that began like almost, and I do own this part, almost like 10 years of me not wanting to do anything with African Americans. Because I was like, I thought you'd accept me,
yes.
right? I thought if there's any person would accept me would be somebody is black like me. But no, that was not what happened. So I was like, okay, so 10 years, I didn't care. But then over time, he started wanting to like be my study mate in school. Be like, hey, we have that history class coming up. Because also the teachers, again, I was trying to impress everybody. And if you've come through the Kenyan education system, like you shine in American colleges, right? So like I really was shining in school. So he noticed that, like, not only teachers were paying attention to me, I was getting on the dean's list, all these things. So he started trying to be my friend. Lakini mimi ulisema niko na accent.
Yeah.
Isha mbali.
Yeah. Anyway, this topic, so that we can get through other topics or other topics that we
But
talked
remember,
about.
just have those
2024.
conversations with your children, because
Yes, very important. And I think next year we'll also plan, like further conversations where we'll have both the parent and the child in studio at the same time. Now, going back again to earlier in 2024, the first parts of the year, when we were talking about, like the Summer Bunny experience, there was also this big issue of Pastor TB Joshua. And I think that's when the documentary had just been released of some of the things that he'd been doing in Ukwe, Nigeria. And I think he had already passed away by the time the documentary was being released. So that was a big topic at that particular time of what do you call it? Like religious, what do you call it? There's a word that I'm trying to, when you get into people's minds.
Cult?
It was he was kind of like had a cult. So that was a big thing. Now, the other thing that I also wanted us to talk about, that we hosted Kia Simmons, an African American who's living in Kenya. And the issue of African Americans now living in Kenya is becoming an actual thing. They used to go to West Africa mostly, but now you're seeing a lot of them moving to Kenya
or East Africa.
Yes, and there's a good side to it, but there's also some social issues that have started coming up, especially with this group that are called
Passport Bros.
Yeah,
Passport
there you
Bros.
go. Mika, tell us, who are Passport Bros? Who are Passport Bros? For people maybe who don't understand. Mika.
They're brothers with a passport.
Passport Bros.
Tell us
Break
about
it down,
Passport
break it down,
Bros.
Mikasi.
Adi?
Tell us about Passport Bros. Kwa wale watu hawajui Passport Bros ni kina nani?
Passport Bros is a term that's been it's how can I say it? It's people who travel out of the country seeking for love, seeking for it's basically, and it's usually the African American community. So the passport road is like, how to say, dating overseas. They leave the country with the intention of going to find love overseas, and for them, they feel that the typical American woman has just become undateable. So they usually go to other countries and they want to see if they can. They say the women over there are more humble, much cheaper. They understand much, and then they feel like they're exotic. They feel like they get their worth. They feel like they're worthy. They feel here like the women over here don't see them as well. Now the problem with passport bros is that a lot of these people are not looking for love, right? A lot of them are people who are looking to go and have fun, and they're trying to see. They think that the countries they're going, they'll find those women are just stupid and easy to manipulate. Huko Kenya wanakutazanga na kina Wambui ile mbio wanaletwa. But yeah, so it's causing a clash of cultures in Kenya, because I think there's this assumption whereby they're assuming that because they're African women, they're supposed to behave in a certain way, and you don't realize that these women are also modern. They've learned, they're modern, they're mature, and they understand. They're smart, very smart, and they understand their worth. So you can just come because you're American, you have a few dollars that you're going to treat them. Or get them cheaply, or whatever way you assume that's going to be easy for you, because they used to get this privilege in Asia, and I think in Asia, it was cut out. Those countries they were going to, the women got wiser to it, and Eastern Europe. So now their target has become Africa. Kenya is a place whereby if you get somebody from New York and took them to Nairobi, they'll survive very easily. There's both sides of life. There's the high class life and there's the low class life. There's everything. There's every part of it. So they will survive. They will live easily. So passport bros, passport bros hao ndo wamejaza. Sasa hao ndo wanaenda Kenya. Those are the ones who are.
Wachana wakutane na Waboi.
I think also there are, like people who genuinely want to go there and settle, but then there's a small group that's online and that's very notorious, that are doing certain things that are now starting to raise concerns for some people locally. And I think that's where there's some confusion, because there's a very big group. The character, the people who are coming has changed. When you look historically, most of the Black Americans used to come to Kenya were either there as diplomats or on some kind of professional assignment or church or something. But now, since COVID, there's a new, just the new average person who has saved up some money is going. So one other thing that they are confusing is that they are confusing they're confusing the fact that the women want them. They're confusing it with the fact that they actually, where they are right now, they actually have money, and that's part of the reason why there's people who are drawn to them. Because let me tell you something. If you're broke and you go to Kenya, I can guarantee you're not going to get the same attention that you're getting when you don't have money. So I think that's a part they're confusing, because a lot of them, are people who've saved up some money and they can spend. So yeah, in Nairobi, if you can spend,
and Nairobi is expensive.
Nairobi is expensive, but some of them are from New York. So
okay.
Yeah.
Let me ask about this passport bros. Do they have jobs?
Oh yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
They're
They're all working remotely, and they're making money in foreign currency, so it's cheap for them to live abroad.
The thing is, passport bro is like a spectrum, right?
Yeah.
Originally, when it came out, it was more of like these are men who have chosen to seek out foreign women, typically from other countries for relationship. They believe that the Western women have been influenced by culture and societal pressures to behave in a certain way. and that by seeking out foreign women, they can find a more authentic, fulfilling, and harmonious relationship because they see them as they see that it's a way to restore natural balance between masculinity and feminine energy, and they felt like the foreign women are more down to earth.
Oh, basically maintaining the patriarchy.
So basically, the people who believe like, if I want a woman who will allow me to be a man, let me go to another country because the women over here can. And those come and seek out good relationships and date to marry these people because that is what they're looking for. That's the intention for me. I'm going to date with intent. And then there's now passport bros whose main intention is to take advantage of their resources and have as much fun as they can. So it's a spectrum. You cannot find two passport bros on the same level, like on the same. There are those who are good, there are those who are bad. Now the problem is that, as everything else, the bad usually outshines the good. That is the one that is amplified more. Yeah. So when people speak passport bros, they just assume this is somebody who decides that they're just going to a country to get laid as much as they can.
Yep. Okay. And what do you guys think about this movement of now Black Americans who are not only Black Americans, just Black descendants of slaves from different parts of the world? Like we have Afro-Jamaican from Jamaica and people from different who are now seeking to settle in Africa, specifically in Kenya. What do you think of that idea, or how do you think people back home are relating to that idea?
Honestly, I don't know. I think there's a time I was for the idea, like, yeah, like, welcome, come back, right? But as with any immigration, which even us migrating here has had this negative effects, right? And it's easy to kind of get stuck on that. Why are they moving? Is it just to?
It's not economic.
It's not economic.
It's not economic.
So for them, it's just more social.
Coming back home.
To connect. Okay.
No, they're coming back home.
Okay.
Yeah, because you have to remember, they've been born in a place where they've been unappreciated.
True.
And where they're being disrespected.
True.
So they feel like that's a place where this is home.
Yeah.
This is where we came from. And we're going to have a comfortable life here.
Okay. Honestly, I'm fine with it. Like, living under racism, this is crazy. I think if it was not for economic reasons, we would not be here. Yeah. Right? At least for me, I will not be here, right? So I totally get it. If you just want to, like, I have enough money, I can live somewhere else and I don't need to be part of this, it's fine. I think my hesitation has come because of that nation. That there's a guy in Uganda right now who was like in Kenya, they moved to Uganda. You know, I don't remember his name, but I know we've talked about him.
Oh, the guy who is a Trump supporter.
Yeah.
That's Ken Ganda.
He turned me off completely about that movement. Right?
I mean,
At first I thought, oh, look at this African American who moved to Kenya, then Uganda, had this podcast is talking about like but then once the elections came around, I was like, what are you, like, I've never had the moment of like, please go back. I had with him.
Even before the elections, even the way he was talking condescendingly about people back home, you know, like women there were so many things that, and that's just one individual.
Yeah.
But
okay, I think mine was just one single source of data. Kind of turned me off around it because I'm like, are you bringing benefit to the new community you're going to, or are you bringing division?
The challenge with Americans who go, and I sometimes empathize with them on this, who go to other places, is this American exceptionalism. And sometimes it's something they're not conscious about.
Yeah.
In America, the way people are cultured, the way they are taught, is that you're the best, you're the cream of the crop.
Yeah.
So anywhere you go, you'll be going to solve problems that they have.
Yes.
That's how an American mind
Ali
is.
is being politically correct.
But he's right, though. But he is right.
He's being politically correct. There is a sense of entitlement with people who are moving back, with diasporans who are moving back to Africa and settling in Africa. when they get there, they expect to be given a red carpet, and they expect that everything is supposed to work with them without wanting to work with the rules of the law, with the law of the land, right? And so there's that sense of entitlement, and which is causing the clashing that is we can see right now with most diasporans who are trying to go. And by diasporans, I'm not just meaning us Africans, I'm meaning African descendants of slaves, African Americans, in that there is that entitlement because, as Aliyah said, they've been raised in America. They've been told that Americans are the best in everything, and they go everywhere. It's happened, and we can see that even with white Americans when they move to Europe, they expect that because I'm American, I'm supposed to have certain privileges, and there's always that clash. Yeah. It's an American thing. Yeah. It's just that sense of entitlement that they've been born with it, that they're the best in the world. It goes and clash with the locals and the law of the land, and that's the issue. But then if you find and one thing I liked about Miss Kia when she was talking about how they do stuff is, I think she and her group became smart enough and embraced the locals and try to do more things through the locals as they're setting themselves up. But if you listen to other people who are trying to come up, because they assume, because if I do this, I'm supposed to get it. If I do this, I'm supposed to get it. The thing is, what Africa wants in terms of immigration is different from what America wants. America wants workers. Africa wants investors. They will give priority to somebody who comes with more money. They will not care if you look like us and you're just bringing money that is not helping the economy to them, unfortunately.
Yeah, so I guess the issue is that there's a lack of understanding that that the way people on the continent relate to race, because we don't have to deal with racism day to day. You know, like sometimes hour by hour, like they have to, because they're working with people of different races. The average Kenyan is not dealing with that. Yes. So the way people connect to race, and the other lady we hosted some years, I think 2 years ago, Brittany Caldwell, explained it so well. You know, and I have, you know, like I have this feeling that women, you know, like Black American women who go there are going with a very different mindset from Black American men.
They're not passport.
They're not passport
the opposite
sisters.
of that will be
because, you know, like even having talked to, you know, like for example, like Brittany Caldwell, she said it so well. She was like, if you come here as a Black American, don't come with all that, you know, like the way blackness is a thing here. Yeah. It's not a thing there, you know,
because
like where
that's the normal thing.
It's not.
Black.
Yeah. So, you know, like people are not gonna think about you in as, oh, this is, you know, like you know, like a Black American, you know, brother, we have to treat them this way or that way. And then, you know, like even those kind of things of like sometimes how white people get treated. Yes, and we see these things. But again, you have to understand, like the norms there are entirely very different. And I think with now people staying there for a little bit of longer periods, people are slowly going to start understanding this. I idealistically, I'm one of those people who's like, you know, like if they want to come back home, yes, let them come back home. But then practically, I know it's not as easy as we want to imagine. It is, and like Micah said, the reality is the Western world is looking for workers. Africa is looking for investors. And as an investor, we're not talking about you've saved $30,000, then you're not coming with $30,000. That's not considered an investor in Kenya. As an investor, we're talking about you're coming with maybe $1 million or more at the bare minimum, and that's even on the lower side, which is why, you know, like I have advised, you know, like some of them who are looking for residency, I'm like, you're better off if you pool your resources together and you're coming in as an entity with $10 or $20 million. Trust me, someone will pay attention.
100%. Yeah. That's a ton of money.
Yeah, but then if you're coming with 50K, 70K, the reality, it would be good if someone paid attention to
you
your 50K
will come
and
with
70K.
your $200,000 People will eat it. And
Yeah.
you won't get anything.
Araka.
Yeah, people will eat it.
Can I also say something else I've heard about is some of them are using local people, and this is probably more biased there because it's been men. They use local women to gain residency, and there's like to them. So the people they end up duping. I don't know what else to use but that word. They
So
think
wanatafuta mapepa.
nani.
Wanatafuta mapepa the same way
Yeah.
people come here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
And
they
also-
look,
yeah.
and then they will use your resources or your information to get land, vitu kama hizo. Because like they, we're together, we can buy these things. That's
Yeah.
that's the entry point that some of them are trying to do.
Yeah.
And that's why I said. There's a time I was so for the idea. I thought it was good, like you coming back to Africa, like escape this oppression we go through here. But then when I start hearing these stories are coming out from some of these people and what they're doing, I'm like, is it benefiting Africa or the communities are going into? Is it more?
It's parasitic.
That's the one. Yeah.
But okay, two things. One, I'll speak of exceptionalism is everywhere. Unfortunately, as human beings, we always want to take advantage of somebody or something just to make, to also you look like your body. This whole exceptionalism of African American, it's not like it's the first time it's happening in Africa, right? Remember Liberia.
Yes.
Liberia was settled by former
freed slaves, yeah.
Freed slaves, yeah. And then they thought they were above the
locals.
natives,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
And then what did that
wow.
bring? Yeah, it brought classism. They thought that they were above the dudes who live there, right? And we ended up, if you go down history, we end up getting to Kina Samuel Doe, where, all that genocide and all that stuff.
And that classism is still there until today, even in Liberia with those English names, Taylor,
yeah.
Johnson.
Yeah.
Like you're considered in that.
Right.
Because they're descendants now of the people who are brought back.
Right. So now, the next point I was talking about is like, in Zambia, I think in Zambia or Zimbabwe, one of the two countries, there's a huge community of Jamaicans who are moving back to either one of those countries, right? So to me, I'm kind of broad macro like view, like, okay, this is all, it's coming down to that whole idea of identity, right? These are people who left, who not left, but they were taken away from generations wide. And now they're trying to have that connection, right? Now, there's some people who have the right intention of trying to be like, hey, I just want to have that identity. I want to identify myself as coming from this place. But then, as with human nature, there's always the other part of it, the other people who just want to come and take advantage of the situation, and hence we have all these passport bros. So people who are trying to take advantage of the situation to be scrupulous and do silly stuff.
But like the unique thing about American exceptionalism, like you say, there's exceptionalism everywhere. The unique thing about American exceptionalism is that they are heedless about it. They are not aware.
Oh yeah.
They're not aware. There's that
Oh,
exceptionalism where unajua mimi mjukuu Masai, but then you understand that you're doing something you're not supposed to be doing. But with the American exceptionalism, they are like, if you talk to them, you'll understand that they are totally
Clueless about it.
and heedless. That saying something as simple as I'm coming here with $30,000 and I'm looking to employ some people. They're totally clueless. Like in their mind, they're coming there. Like these people have problems.
Yeah.
So
we see that on TV.
So they're not understanding how come they're not assisting me to get what I need to do, and I'm here to help.
Right.
Yeah.
So they have that stuck in their mindset, and that's the reason why you will find a 17-year-old American will very proudly tell you that I am going to a village in rural Kenya to build huts for them. Just sit and think for a moment. Like, at what point did someone sit and think that me as a 17-year-old who's just been playing PlayStation here, that now there's a village in Kenya where people have no idea how to build huts.
Yeah.
So now we are
Build
gonna
them
go
huts.
there.
Yeah.
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 You
And
get,
help
you
them.
get volunteer hours.
And help them build huts.
So you have seen those videos of that kid with the fly on the nose.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So
Nine-
you know.
I know, that's why I
$9
say that's what you
$9
see
a
on
month.
TV.
Yeah, and like Mr.
$1
Beast,
a
for
day.
example, with all the good things that he does, but there's certain things that you're like, people should not allow him to. If you wanna do it, go ahead and do it, but you could not be taking, like these videos and showing them to the world. And
But
that's
that's
just
how he's making money.
that's how he's
that-
making.
that's how he's
He's actually
making
it's actually a profitable enterprise
For him.
for him.
Yeah.
But this is one thing I always tell these dudes when we're at Bunge in whatever. I'm always, United States mastered the idea of using media, projecting
A certain
a
image.
picture,
Yeah.
a certain image that
Propaganda.
that is
word.
not me. I always say, Steto took Hitler's propaganda framework and just boosted it.
And they sanitized it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, like even us, like, dude, I grew up in the 90s, right? We are watching.
Whoa. Oh, sorry. Carry on. Oh, sorry.
I know you're just about to come with some nonsense. So, like, we are watching.
But
rap
Omosho was born like the 1800s, the 1900s.
you see, it's
1800s.
quite.
Leave Omosho
you see
alone.
quite over there. You see,
Yeah.
we
No
grew up
habla español.
watching
Amesema Omosho alikuja huku na Mayflower.
It must be rich then.
Watching Rapem, So our idea of American chicks were like all these super fly women,
yeah.
but that's the
really?
idea we are being given,
Yeah,
right?
I know.
And then you learn.
Danny's video, Jay-Z, R. Kelly, Fiesta. Me, that was my picture.
And, yeah,
that was like, this is gonna be my life.
That's why Ali came to
Like,
America.
and then he left. The first
Yeah,
time I
like
came
this-
to
this-
America- the
no,
first
that's
time
why
I
Ali
came to
came.
America-
Me, I was like, this right here, I'm gonna be the guy in the robe. Like walking through, in a pool party. I'm gonna be that guy.
But yeah.
I was convinced.
And then you
The
end up
first
getting
time I
here.
came to America, I landed at Detroit Airport. Nilikasirika sana. Sana. Because what I saw at the airport is not what I saw in the music video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You end up, but then they show you Miami, they show you New York, only Manhattan. They don't show you Brooklyn.
No.
Shida ilikuwa places, ilikuwa people.
When they show you places, they show you California, Hollywood,
Yeah.
but they don't show you where kuna ma homeless.
The homeless
They don't.
part of
Yeah.
California.
So
yeah.
you always think that Steto
North
is like
Avenue.
this.
Yeah.
I love Sisi. It's the other way of this, the other side of the spectrum. In Africa, watu
show the
wanakufa
worst.
njaa,
Yeah.
people are just, and boom. And that's why you have all these dudes, as you said, this 17-year-old who is going there, he was like, oh, I'm going to teach them how to build huts. Dude, come on. I was telling my in-laws, I was like, yeah, man, you'll be shocked. Kenya, I mean, literally, Nairobi is just like New York, like Manhattan, New York,
Yeah,
It's
a
almost
lot
like
of
24/7.
people come
My-
from other countries say that.
yeah, and they get
every
very shocked,
day on
yeah.
YouTube, especially the West Africans, they come to Kenya and they're blown away.
Oh yeah. By the
Yeah.
way, Kenya nowadays,
Yeah.
to some of those West Africans, it's a place to
It's
visit.
it's a place to
It's
go.
a place where they come on vacation, which is a good thing.
Yeah, I have I don't even know whether it's a question, an observation, or whatever dilemma. My trainer is African American, lovely lady. She tells me, I show her a picture of Nairobi when we were talking, and she's like, "You guys have roads."
No, I
Right?
mean,
Huh?
And I
Yeah, I
wonder.
mean,
She
at
actually
this
asked
point-
you that?
She did. And I wonder, literally have wondered, like, I know right now, like with
She
social
was
media.
being tacky.
No,
She
she
was
was
being
not.
tacky.
She was not. I
It was
need
a
it.
teaching moment.
She was not.
A teaching moment.
I literally sat down with, I mean it when I say she's lovely, very curious about things. But when I start talking about, like, my life in Kenya, I've come here, she was like, So when I showed her the picture, she was like, you should have seen her face. She was like, I need to learn more about Kenya. Right? Like that was what she was left saying. Like she said, I'm gonna do more research on Kenya and Africa.
No
because
more research.
literally,
I end Kenya.
Literally, what she knows is still the 90s pictures of Africa that they used to broadcast here. Poverty, hunger, famine, all that. That's what she still has. And she's not the only one. Like literally, right before I moved to DC, I met this other girl in New York. And she was from Europe. And I remember I actually opened an Instagram account. Like I just never posted. But I wanted to start posting African pictures of like how it looks like, not what people think. And she said, I showed us a couple of pictures. Was like, wait, is this Africa? You sure can? Not only I'm like, this is Kenya. I know it's not. This is Kenya in Africa. And she was like, and she was young. She was like, I think 21, 22. There's still pictures out there people are not exposed to.
No, there's still a group of people that's not exposed.
But I feel like it's a lot.
It
because these people live in metropolitan areas and they still don't know what cities in Africa look like.
I mean, I think in today's world with the internet, someone who still has those impressions, there are clearly people who are just not interested in anything else besides what goes on in their little town or city where they live.
Yeah.
They clearly, because also in this world of algorithms, what we're seeing online or what we're seeing on social media is not what the next person over there is seeing on social media.
True.
In this world of algorithms, it's actually very, very segmented. So there are people, those things that we are constantly seeing on social media of Africa being great and this, there are people who are not seeing any of those because of the algorithms and what they're looking at.
So I agree with you, but I feel like that I think Africa in general, we need to do a better story.
Right.
A better way of doing of broadcasting our stories out here.
Right.
Because go on.
No. What you just said. So we went to.
Mimi nataka kuwapinga kidogo kwanza.
So I went to for a race in upstate New York. Upstate uko ocha kabisa. Like, so we are running. I'm seeing this Jungu kid. He was probably a shade of maybe 19. He has a singlet, this running singlet, red Kenya. This is uko mashinani New York. I'm like, I even stopped him. I was like, dude, where did you get that from? I was like, no, I'm a huge fan of Kenya. I've even went to whatever, I can't remember. Yeah, I've ran there. I'm like, dude. So I was like, yeah, I'm Kenyan. I was like, you don't even know how much I love that country. So I'm standing there. Anyway, we talk. He rolls out. So I'm standing. I'm like, we have an embassy that should be literally drumming all this stuff out. Like, hey, this is the place. Trying to get all this. I mean, we are known for running. Why aren't these dudes out there be like, hey, come visit Kenya. Come run. We don't. And then
running tourism should be a thing.
It should. It should. Right? And
along with the bracelet. As you run, you get a bracelet.
Yeah, I was seeing, I think it was on Instagram, where all these celebrities have this Kenyan bracelet. Almost.
Yeah.
Those things are expensive. Have you gone online?
I'm like,
those things are expensive online, man.
The bracelet?
Yes. You see, you guys we get them from home. When you go online, there's chaps out there who are already mass producing these things.
Yeah. There has to be a concerted effort for you to try to want to learn. Because just out of the blue, like if I ask you something about Bolivia,
I don't know.
No, we don't know.
Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah.
Unless
so we are also in that darkness the same way they are.
So people live in silos. And these silos are not connected. So unless you really want to learn about the place, then you jump over and come and try to, and pseudo try to understand.
Okay, Micah had something you wanted to add.
I wanted to ask something. Ruth,
yes,
your friend, she has social media, right?
Yes,
She has social media, right? She's active on social media, right?
Let me say I don't have a social media, so I don't know. But
okay,
yeah. I was showing her pictures on my phone.
This is my point.
Yeah.
In terms of, especially with Africa, there has been an influx on how Africa has affected the culture of the world, especially pre-pandemic, musically. Unts, that's the electro music. Right now, it's being dominated by Africans, right? There's Afrobeat.
Yep.
There's Amapiano. And hold up, let me finish.
Okay.
And all these accumulates, especially if somebody has social media, accumulates to something that we call challenges. When you see these reels that people are making, these people are doing everything are doing. We've seen celebrities doing challenges with African music, which is what has made African music blow out like that.
What was that?
Because,
Anguka Nayo, you know.
Forget even Anguka Nayo. Anguka Nayo, yes, blew up.
Yeah.
Even, Wazungu wanaifanya and everything. But then if we look like when things like you want to bam bam, you want to chill with the Kina Rema, music by Rema, Burna Boy. And then this is music that has been redone with these other cultures and just spread all over, right? So for me, to tell me in this particular age, yes, there are people who are not exposed to how an African city look like. But to tell me that somebody who is technologically savvy, and I know they have a social media, and they do, especially if it's somebody who, and that's why I was telling you, a trainer probably was just being tacky, is because if you're a trainer, you have your social media and you use your social media to market your services, which means you post your social media videos. You need songs. You're gonna be doing these challenges because these challenges are actually going with these songs that are coming out. You will have to know. So
let's remove social media
about
because
Africa.
should have showed that to me if she had it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is that so even if we remove social media, right? If we remove social media, you cannot tell me you're not watching movies or TV shows. If you remove movies and TV shows, you cannot tell me you're not watching news.
Micah,
tell me.
Let me ask you.
Ruth, somebody to ask you, you have a road.
Let me ask you.
That is not ignorance.
Let me ask
that
you.
That is big tacky.
Listen, I'm.
Nowhere in this world there's no road.
Let me ask you. Like, have you seen those pictures from the 90s though?
I've seen the pictures from the 90s.
Okay.
For feeding a kid for $1.
Yeah,
those were pictures from the 90s. We are
those
in
pictures
the
are still stuck.
Those pictures
are still stuck on people's heads.
I'm not denying that. Those pictures are stuck.
Yeah.
The same way the pictures of those saving dogs, zile dog tulikuwa saving in 30 cents, are stuck in our heads, right? It's the same way. But guess what? Things have evolved over the years. Unless you're living in a cave since 1990,
Mika, let me ask you.
You cannot tell me that you don't know that Africa has roads.
Mika, let me ask you.
I do not agree with that.
Let me ask you something. How does Vietnam look like?
How does Vietnam look like?
Yeah.
Which city? Ho Chi Minh City?
Okay, clearly you know about Vietnam.
Which city do you want me to tell me? I will tell you one thing.
So let me say one thing.
Okay, I will tell you something.
Yeah.
Vietnam, depending on where you're going.
Yeah.
Vietnam, if you go to Ho Chi Minh City, one of the biggest cities in the world, one of the best, most infrastructured cities and everything you'll ever find in every city.
Okay,
right?
Please tell me a country you're not familiar with.
A country I'm not familiar with.
Yes.
Kiribati. Inaitwa Kiribati ama Karibiti.
Kiribiti.
Okay, fine.
Kibiriti.
Okay, fine.
I have no idea how Kiribiti looks like.
Okay.
But I'm sure Kiribiti kuna gari na kuna barabara.
Okay. Now, I'm not disagreeing with you, but as you said, you don't know how it looks like, right?
No, I don't know how it looks
but you
like.
have an image from somewhere that it might look like this.
I have an image of at least somewhere in that country. There's a building that has at least more than 10 stories. I have an idea that they have roads.
You know way more.
Because I have an idea they have an airport because they at least fly out and come to the Olympics.
Okay.
Right? So I have an idea that they have hospitals, that they have schools because people live there and they're literate and they do stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I have an idea that they have stadiums because they train and play sports. So I have an idea at least, hata kama kuna kaushago aje, I have an idea that hakuna pahali kwa hii dunia, hakuna barabara. You cannot tell, especially from saying Kenya has roads. Unajua hata area angesema nini? Turkana has roads, hapo ningekubali.
Now let me say something.
But a whole country?
But let me say something here, Mika, and this will surprise you.
Yeah.
there are people out there
Yeah.
who, you know, like who still have this impression
the
because
90s.
those videos of those late night videos of Feed an African Child,
Yeah.
those things are still streaming until
Today.
until
And
today.
I'm not refuting
So
that.
ngoja
Ali. What
Mika,
I'm saying
yeah,
is that for
I
somebody to
get
have
your
that
point.
thought,
Yes.
ni
I-
yeye, unajua nini? It's
So-
a choice amechukua akaeka hiyo ndo thought ya Africa, and that is why I'm saying they're being tacky because it's in their head. They've decided that this is what I'm seeing. The whole world is not developed. Indo tunabaki tu nimefikiria hapa. It's the same, unajua nini? It's the same way vile wale wa Africa who believing hii all African Americans are stupid and can't think. It's their choice. They're being tacky. It's them. Just because
Okay,
they were
point
exposed to
taken,
one point
Mika.
of African Americans being that
Point
way,
taken.
and they stuck
Point
to that.
taken, Mika. But what we're saying, this is not an issue of whether, you know, like they're ignorant or they're not. These people exist.
That's the
That's
thing.
what we're
They
saying.
just exist.
They exist. So whether they're being,
And
whether
I've
it's
not
out of ignorance or whether it's out of, these people exist. And you know, like with certain jobs like some of us do, where we're talking to people from many different parts of the country, and just in conversation sometimes some people will hear an accent and they'll ask you a question. That's how you know these people, whether we like it or not,
Yeah.
they exist.
Yeah.
They're not too far from us.
They're not.
Yeah, they're not too
Not
far from
only
us.
I know another one. I just
Yeah.
can't talk too much.
I've not denied the existence.
Yeah.
I didn't deny that she existed. I just said she's tacky. Like, not that she existed because that yakuwa anajua.
Yeah.
I said she's tacky. Like alikuwa anajua, she was just being smart.
No,
to you.
I don't think so. That's the
Actually,
thing.
and that's why we disagree with you, Mika,
Yeah.
and we can be in this. There are people who actually who exist who just don't know.
Yeah.
They just don't know what they don't know.